This is Richard Wolff responding to a question sent in from our Patreon community, and in particular from Kyle Shannon. I want to thank Kyle for the question and the opportunity to respond. Kyle asks about a famous story of a pencil and how it is produced, and it is attributed to Milton Friedman, among other writers. The video, which you can find, the story, tell a lovely, almost childlike story whose major purpose is three parts. One, to show that there are literally millions of people who collaborate in producing something simple like a pencil. Everyone from the people who cut the trees that make for the wood in the pencil, who assemble the paint and the rubber and the plastic and whatever else goes into it in different countries from different cultures, and magically all of that cooperation of many people ends up in this particular product. The second point the story wants to make is that, and this is the ideological burden of the story, is that nobody, no single person directs it all. No one comes with a big plan and puts it all together, telling all the different participants what he or she should do. And finally, we are told, isn't this marvelous that you have this arrangement where no one is being told what to do, and we all, and the word is repeated many times, voluntarily engage in this activity. It's called the market that makes this happen, and the point and purpose of the story is to make us adulate, praise, and celebrate the market, which was the sum total of Milton Friedman's purpose in life as well. And I was asked my response. Well, my response is it's a lovely story. It's a wonderful utopian image of a market. But like many utopian images, it forgets that the messy reality of the world may in fact be very far from the utopian image. It also seems to forget that what utopias usually are the imaginations of how a world that is far from utopian could be imagined, could be changed to at least get closer to that utopia than it now is. So let's unpack that process in Mr. Milton Friedman's imaginative story of the pencil. So first, is the market the only way for mass numbers of people doing very different things to end up with a remarkable product or series of products? And the obvious answer is, if you know anything about history, no. Human beings in communities that did not use markets have in fact produced extraordinarily wonderful, complicated outputs that millions of people contributed to. In ancient Egypt, they built those pyramids that have lasted longer than almost anything else human beings have done. And millions of people participated, making the stones, cutting the stones from the quarries, moving them, assembling them, positioning them, decorating them, creating the architecture to make the vaults into... I could go on. Isn't it marvelous how human beings in diverse situations did it? So you don't need a market to produce remarkable outcomes that many people participated in. Number two, the word voluntary. This is this wonderful sneaking in the word, as if everybody who participates in a market doing his or her work, getting his or her wages, which is mentioned in the story, as if they're all doing it voluntarily. As almost any wage earner will tell you, he or she does some or all of the work they do in exchange for wages on an anything but voluntary basis. They have no other way to live in many cases. They either go out and sell their ability to work for a wage, or they have nothing, or next to nothing, or have to become a beggar alternatively to survive, which is no real choice at all for most people. So the notion that this marvelous market is based on voluntary participation is a utopian transformation of the utterly non-voluntary basis upon which markets, particularly nowadays, rely. And here's the third kind of remarkable notion in all of this, that there's no directing hand. It's an invisible hand. Well, this is a charming idea of the big picture. Yeah, there's no dictator telling everybody. But inside every enterprise involved in producing a pencil, the company that cuts the wood, the company that makes the paint, the company that produces the rubber, the company that assembles them into the pencil, here's what we got: a very powerful, unaccountable organizer, master, let's call him what he is, employer, who forces you to do things on the threat that if you don't do it how he wants it, when he wants it, where he wants it, he will take the job from you and he will take your income, plunging you and your family into God knows what kind of chaos. Inside every capitalist enterprise is the very dictator, the very visible hand that Mr. Friedman's lovely story makes to vanish. Yeah, we don't have a dictator at the top. Instead, we have decentralized dictatorships in every enterprise. Markets are one of the ways human beings have used to organize their economies. Through most of the history of the human race, markets were not the way it was done. Just like inside your family, you don't arrange for the different tasks, taking out the garbage, sweeping the kitchen, vacuuming the living room. You don't buy and sell to each other in a market to get those things done. You work it out in a planned family way. Markets are just one way to distribute goods and services, and they are not particularly better or worse than others. And the adulation of Mr. Friedman, celebrating this one method as if it had some wonderful values that every other method doesn't have, is a false religion. It's designed to celebrate capitalist markets and to pretend that they have reached the utopian wonderment that maybe Mr. Friedman had wished for, but has never been achieved or anything close to it in the real world, as I've tried to suggest. Thank you very much for your attention and for the support you provide, Kyle Shannon, and the Patreon community does. We are grateful for it.